Hi guys, and welcome to this week's episode of Real World Basics. Today we are talking about making a monthly budget. So when you make a monthly budget, the key is to ensure that you don't run out of money before your next paycheck. So there are a number of factors to consider when you make your monthly budget, but these factors change throughout your life. But this video will help you get started in setting up a personal monthly budget, taking those factors into consideration. So everyone will have different incomes and expenses, but I do have a couple of good resources to go along with today's video. The first is a video about minimalist budget advice. While it does say minimalist, even if that's not kind of the lifestyle you go by, it just has some good, sound, foundational, common sense money advice. The next video is getting started with a budget. So it has a lot of tips and tricks to get you started with making your budget, such as how to track your money and other lifestyle factors to consider. The third is a video on creating a budget in Excel. That one goes over all of the different Excel formatting tips and formulas to use. I do like using Excel to make a budget just because you can access it on any computer or personal device, and you can update it as you go, and it just stores previous data that you've entered into it. So the first thing when making a monthly budget is to consider, how are you spending your money? I always think it's a great idea to start this by just taking a guess at what you're spending your money on and then writing it down to reference it back later. Like, if you consider your lifestyle and your interests, you can probably make a good guess as to what you're spending the most money on, but do you actually know the dollar amount? So that's a kind of fun game to play, is just take a wild guess and see how close you are. After you do that, you want to save your receipts. If you have like electronic banking, that makes it really easy. If you use your like a card to pay for everything, that's an easy way to track it. Or you can go old-fashioned and save all of your receipts, and then at the end of the month, you are going to group all of your expenses together by category. So your categories will probably be different from other people's, but do them in the categories that make sense to you. Then you add everything up and you compare your actual expenses at the end of the month to the estimate that you took at the very beginning. And how close were you? I have been pretty darn close sometimes, and then like wildly off at other times with different categories. The next thing to consider when you make your monthly budget is, do your expenses outweigh your income? If yes, then it may be time to cut back on any extra spending if that's possible, or to consider alternative ways to increase your income. If no, then you keep up the good work and consider building a savings account if you don't already have one. And you can do this by also decreasing spending for a period of time or increasing your income. On the right-hand side, this is a sample monthly budget for when I was living in my own apartment. And remember, everybody's monthly expenses are going to look different. So with my monthly bills, I had rent, we had to pay for electricity, water was included in our rent, but we did also need to provide our own Wi-Fi. So those were all fixed monthly costs. Now for groceries, I budgeted for $400 a month because I don't really eat out. I really like to cook at home. And I also included all of my home goods, cleaning products, and other like household essentials into that grocery budget, which is why it's pretty big. I do not currently pay my phone bill. However, I leave it on my monthly expenses to remind myself that that is a bill that I will be covering in a short period of time. The next line item is pets. I have to feed my dog and my cat monthly, as well as provide them with other supplies each month, such as like medicine and like litter, So I budget a line for them. I keep it a pretty high just estimate. That way I have that money set aside for them. And the final line item is car and gas. I include filling up my car a couple times a month with gas. My little sedan is pretty cheap to fill up. So I budget for that, and as well as a little padding because my car is old and she does break down kind of frequently. So I always have a little bit of extra in there just in case. So you look at the final monthly expenses you have, and you have to consider whether or not they outweigh your income. So based off of the monthly expenses at the bottom, my income would need to be at least the $1,790.99 to meet all of my monthly expenses. If not, I would have to considerably cut back in certain areas of my budget or increase my income. Some other things to consider when you are making a budget is try to anticipate upcoming expenses. Like if you know you have an annual expense such as getting glasses. Glasses aren't always covered by insurance, and you know you are going to have to spend some money on them. Try to set aside the money before the expenses actually due, or set a little bit aside each month. Likewise, try to anticipate any potential surprise expenses. There's some things like if you drive a really old car, you're likely going to have it break down and have some, hopefully not uber urgent repairs needed, but you do have to put some money into it to keep it running. Likewise with pets, I have had a couple of trips to the vet that I wasn't anticipating, and having some money set aside for that can help ease both your stress and hope the things that need to be taken care of be taken care of. And remember that your budget, just like your life, is fluid. So it's always changing. So your budget will probably need to be adjusted at time to compensate for different changes in your life. So just adjust as this happens. And if you do this process in reverse, it helps you calculate the minimum income needed to support yourself. So once you start looking for a full-time job, you can use this to calculate your minimum starting salary when you consider all of your life factors. So regardless of whether you follow your budget or not, it is important to at least have an understanding or a general guideline of where all of your money is going. Now, next week's video, we will be going over how much stuff actually costs, so that may be helpful in the savings or planning process of your monthly budget. So join me next week, and as always, please don't hesitate to reach out to me on social media or through email if you have any real-world questions or suggestions for upcoming videos. Bye!